First Kings chapter 14. At that time, Abijah, son of Jeroboam, became sick. Jeroboam said to his wife, "Go disguise yourself, so they won't know that you're Jeroboam's wife, and go to Shiloh. The prophet Ahijah is there. It was he who told me about becoming king over this people. Take with you 10 loaves of bread, some cakes, and a jar of honey, and go to him. He will tell you what will happen to the boy." Jeroboam's wife did that. She went to Shiloh and arrived at Ahijah's house. Ahijah could not see, for he was blind due to his old age. A little background here. David had a son named Solomon. They were king in Israel. But when Solomon passed, Rehoboam, his son, became king, and he was not wise, and the kingdom became divided between Rehoboam and Jeroboam. The nation had a civil war, and it became two nations, Judah and Israel. This story is about the king of Israel, Jeroboam, and how that his wife disguised herself, took something of a snack, and brought it to the old prophet who had at one time told Jeroboam that he would be king. But at this time, the prophet was blind. Interesting thing here in this story. Why disguise yourself if the one you're going to meet is blind? What were they thinking? And if he is indeed a prophet of God, wouldn't he see through the disguise anyway? But the Lord had said to Abijah, that old prophet, "Jeroboam's wife is coming soon to ask you about her son, for he is sick. You are to say such and such to her. Oh, by the way, when she arrives, she will be disguised." When Ahijah heard the sound of her feet entering the door, he said, "Come in, wife of Jeroboam. Why are you disguised? I have bad news for you. Go tell Jeroboam, this is what the Lord God of Israel says. I raised you up from among the people, appointed you ruler over my people, Israel. Tore the kingdom away from the house of David, gave it to you. But you were not like my servant David, who kept my commandments and followed me with all his heart, doing only what was right in my sight. You behaved more wickedly than all who were before you. In order to anger me, you have proceeded to make for yourselves other gods and cast images, but you have flung me behind your back. Because of this, I am about to bring disaster on the house of Jeroboam. I will wipe out all of Jeroboam's males, both slave and free, in Israel. I will sweep away the house of Jeroboam as one sweeps away dung until it is all gone. Anyone who belongs to Jeroboam and dies in the city, the dogs will eat. Anyone who dies in the field, the birds will eat. For the Lord has spoken. As for you, get up, go to your house. When your feet enter the city, the boy will die. All Israel will mourn for him and bury him. He alone out of Jeroboam's house will be given a proper burial, because out of the house of Jeroboam something favorable to the Lord God of Israel was found in him. The Lord will raise up for himself a king over Israel, who will wipe out the house of Jeroboam. This is the day, yes, even today. For the Lord will strike Israel, so that they will shake as a reed shakes in water. He will uproot Israel from this good soil that he gave to their ancestors. He will scatter them beyond the Euphrates, because they made their Asherah poles, angering the Lord. He will give up Israel because of Jeroboam's sins that he committed and caused Israel to commit. Then Jeroboam's wife got up and left and went to Tirzah. As she was crossing the threshold of the house, the boy died. He was buried, and all Israel mourned for him, according to the word of the Lord he had spoken through his servant the prophet Ahijah. As for the rest of the events of Jeroboam's reign, how he waged war, how he reigned, note that they are written in the historical record of Israel's kings. The length of Jeroboam's reign was 22 years. He rested with his ancestors, and his son Nadab became king in his place. I want to just look for a moment at something I saw as I was reading this today. It's concerning Nadab. I'd like to just have a quick teaching moment here. The Bible indicates through so many examples, stories, that there is a standard of behavior. Anything beyond the minimum of what is expected for humanity is going to bring some form of judgment. Less than what God expects, and we get what we deserve. At one point in the early history of humanity, we saw a great judgment came to this earth. Genesis 6. The Lord saw that human wickedness was widespread on the earth, that every inclination of the human mind was nothing but evil all the time. The Lord regretted that he had made man on the earth. He was deeply grieved. Then the Lord said, I will wipe mankind, whom I have created, off the face of the earth, together with the animals, creatures that crawl, the birds of the sky, for I regret that I made them. Noah, however, found favor with the Lord. In the story that we've read in our short reading, we see how that God had given to the nation of Israel a king, and he expected certain things of him. When he and the people fell below that standard, God judged him, took him away, and gave to them another ruler, another leader, Nadab. He wasn't better than the previous. It's just that the previous was going to be judged, and the people were going to get the leadership that they deserved. There's a way to break this cycle. 2 Chronicles 7:14. If my people, who are called by my name, will humble themselves, pray, seek my face, turn from their wicked ways, judgment will not come, but instead I will hear from heaven and will forgive their sin and heal their land.